Welcome back to DJ's Fiero Project Stroker Motor. So I just got the lifters in and I just put the push rods. I'm cleaning up surfaces, getting ready for the lower intake. And I'd rather have the lower intake on before I do I'd rather put the lower intake on and then do the valve lash. And the reason is I just don't want to chance because I didn't really look, but it looks like to me I'm gonna have to put the gaskets, and then these guys are gonna sit through the gaskets. So I'd rather bolt the lower intake on, have that all set. The reason why I'm making this video is because the lifters, I don't know if it's been talked about. I'm just gonna explain. This is how I learned. I learned that you put these in a bucket of oil and you pre-soak them until there's no more air bubbles. If that's not the right way of doing it, or if it doesn't matter, just let me know in the comments. That's how I was taught. Another thing that I want to point out is I just found out that the push rods are actually all the same lengths. So when I got the box, it was like putting them all side to side, and I was like, wait a minute, what? They're all the same? So I go over to my old ones that I did put, labeled them, and sure enough, all these push rods are the same length. Now, I'm not saying that you should, if you're doing a rebuild on like a regular motor, and say that you want to have like your push rods and you want to leave them, you're not going to replace them. I would say definitely put them back in the cylinder that they were, due to the fact that the wear is going to be even, I guess you could say. Because honestly, if it's already formed with the way that the push rod has been, don't risk it. But I am trying to tell you that if you do accidentally put an exhaust push rod in an intake spot, it's still the same length. You shouldn't have any issues. So I just thought that was cool. That's really why I'm covering this right now. So let me go ahead and get the gaskets. I'm going to go ahead and put the lower intake on. Another thing is, when I was doing a 4.3 top end rebuild, we used the original push rods. There was no point, there was no problems. It's the guides. That's what I want to point out. So the valve guides on this motor are still metal, and what they did on that motor was your lower intake gasket, they built the guides into the gasket, and I think it's the same on the 3400 if I'm not mistaken. Because when I did that, I think the guides were also built into the gasket too. So I'm just pointing that out. I understand, because really these guides there's probably nothing wrong with it, being that, I don't know, my dad's motor is still original in his car and it's still going. So the point is that I think they did away with these because it's really metal on metal contact, and that's why I like to lube these in oil also with the lifters. And now I'm just ranting. I just hope you learned something from what I just talked about. Another thing is, I'm going to go ahead and retorque these head bolts just to make sure, because they are ARP and I've had some issues in the past. So yeah, well, stay tuned. Welcome back to the Fiero Motor Stroker part 4, I believe. So I finished up painting. As you can see, I got some nice blue pearl in the black. I wanted to keep the motor pretty much black due to the fact I didn't want to take away from the valve covers. And I gotta say, starting to look really good. I know a lot of you guys right now is like, what the hell is a carburetor doing on that motor? But I gotta say, with everything that I did to my car, hacking up a lot of the harness, running some crazy stuff, and the main reason why I went this route is actually because throttle body. I've pretty much messed up 3 throttle bodies, and for me to think about even trying to get it back to where it needs to be is, I just feel like I'm going to be fighting a lot of gremlins. But yeah, that's basically it. So this is a stock Fiero pulley. As you can see, this is how it would bolt up. There's the big notch. There is the mark I made. As you can see on the 3.4, it's over there. So I made my own timing marks, and where that big notch would be, it'd be here, it'd be 0. So I went around the pulley and I made this is 3.4 pulley. I made basically 10 increments. So as you can see, that'd be 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees. Well, I found out that the next notch, that thin notch, is actually 36 degrees. So to do my total timing, I just gotta make sure that that thin notch is on the 0 around 4,000 RPM. So I think that's gonna be really cool. Just showing that out there. Yeah. I am waiting on my oil pump priming tool before I install the distributor. So that is why I still got that capped off right now. Yep. Everything is looking really good.